Hey there. BTS is a little different today. We're coming to you live from the Arboretum Garden, the private garden where you can hear the sound kidogo huko nyuma. We're about to start the Dear Younger Me session, which is convened by Nyawera, Khashoggi, and a few of us are here as speakers. So if you hear some sound outside there, don't worry. Focus on what I'm saying, guys. Focus on what I'm saying, because what I'm saying is in line with what everybody is currently talking about, and that is the state of this revolution, which is necessary and which is going to go on for a while. So it's not going anywhere. So I thought I'd put together a few things to keep in mind. Let's say 10 things to keep in mind when protesting or being part of a revolution. So don't mind if I make some reference to my notes. Number one, read the room. Read the room, guys. What do I mean by that? If you're somebody who puts out content, if you're somebody who has something that they need to release or establish, if it's not in line with the current theme or the current state of affairs, either tweak it to align with that or hold it. Because not doing that and putting it out anywhere when the conversation is so much more different only makes you sound really tone deaf. So read the room means read the room, look around you. Maybe a 1.1 point is also just read. Summer Constitution, understand what the rights are, understand what the arguments and the protests are about. So read the finance bill, understand it, and understand why it is so contentious in its entire form. Sawa. Number two, please don't make fun or jokes about what's happening on the streets. If you don't have anything helpful to say, if you don't have anything helpful to add, say nothing or say less. Right? So there's been unfortunate incidents where people who have a platform are kind of turning this into a, tulikuwa tunaona kama Gen Z, this and that. Like that's not the point of all this, guys. Don't make fun of what's happening. Don't make fun of the fact that people for so long feel like they've been on their knees and now they're tired. So people are protesting. Yes, Gen Z have been leading it. But there's been a lot of other people out there as well, whether it's millennials, a few Xers, and by the way, I need more Xers on the streets. Please don't make fun. If you don't have anything helpful to say, don't say anything. Number three, offer services as and where you're able to. And people have been doing it so beautifully. Shops have been able to give people water. They've been able to shelter people, because I know on Tuesday, and by the way, I was in Mombasa at a conference, which I said on my social media. That's why I wasn't there, but make no mistake, to Kutane Tuesday. So people have been really kind about offering their spaces for shelter, for refreshments. Let's keep that spirit going, that solidarity, that ability to say, I've got you, because this is a time when it's all of us for the same thing. And also, if you are somebody in the medical profession, somebody who knows psychology, somebody who has legal, all of those services right now will be needed so much. So where you're able to, please offer them. It'll be important. Follow pages which are speaking about this issue. There are so many. I'm going to step aside here. Cyrus is going to keep the video, pan the camera this way, where it's just trees. Over here, we're going to list. We're going to put the names on the screen of the different pages that you should listen to, the different pages you should follow. These are people who are constantly sharing updates, people who have been able to break down the finance bill, people on TikTok and Instagram and social media and X who've been able to mobilize and convene and are constantly sharing updates on what's going on, when and where. So please follow them so that you have an idea of what's happening out there. Number five, be part of the movement rather than creating your own thing, right? So let's plug in. Somebody recently reached out to me to say that there's a petition that they wanted me to sign. And I said, you know what? Why don't we just put all our energy into the bigger conversation? Maybe over time, we'll be able to find the other kinds of conversations that still add up. But right now, guys, can we encourage people to plug into the bigger movement and the bigger conversation? Even the different categories. Period poverty has been a very big part of this conversation. And it feels good for a conversation that some of us have been talking about for a decade to also be front and center. Because how are you going to make products that are already unaffordable more unaffordable, right? So let's plug into the bigger conversations. Number six, this one is interesting, and this is how I'll put it. Don't let your beliefs hold you back. Let me read. Let beliefs motivate you, right? So you can balance your faith and your protesting, and people might feel like this is contentious, but it's important that you don't feel like you're being held back because of something. According to an excerpt from care.org, there are biblical precedents for protest. The most obvious is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel chapter 3. Together they protested a command from Nebuchadnezzar because they were told that they should bow down and worship a massive golden statue of himself. which by the way sounds so similar to what we are protesting, which is the worshipping of one person's ideals and ideologies, which are wrong and which don't serve anyone. Maybe they serve a certain faction, but that is completely not the truth anymore. So if you're a person of faith, I have my faith. I'm also a feminist. I'm also an activist. I'm also an advocate. You can also lend your voice. Number 7, I already alluded to in number 1. Read about the issues. Please read about why the finance bill is so contentious. I'll leave it at that. Number 8, have a protest buddy or two. Stay together when you're out there in the crowd. Just keep each other together. Join the bigger crowd. Just keep accountable of who's around you. Who did you come with? What is your meeting point? How are you going to move as you protest with the rest of the citizens? And what is your point for exit? It's important just for accountability. Unfortunately, there has been so much intimidation during these protests. I was just listening to a very powerful Twitter space right now. I believe I have her name right. Let me try. Mudge Raff. She was speaking in the space and it was been listened to by about 49,000 people. And she was talking about the intimidation that she witnessed even in her time as an activist. And right now, may Rex's soul please rest in peace. We lost someone. We lost someone to police brutality, somebody who was unarmed. So there is going to be intimidation. There is going to be bullying. There is going to be a harassment. I'm still all for saying, guys, we owe it to ourselves and our people and our children, those before us, those who will come after us, to get out on the streets. Look after each other. Look after each other. Keep a lookout. Intimidation shouldn't hold you back. And unfortunately, it's a bullying tactic. All right, guys, I have 2 more points. Protect yourself, similar to number 8. What you wear, be comfortable. I'm a very practical person. I'm such a mom. So be practical. Have your handkerchief, have water, have peanuts or a snack or a drink. Wear sneakers, adhere to the colors. Black has been a very central color for this protest. Have your phone, have a power bank, have your ID. Just almost call it like a protest starter pack. Have it with you. It wouldn't be too much for you to carry. It's something that you can just put over your shoulder. It's important for people to know how they can find you, where they can find you. Na simu zetu, they'll go off. So just carry your power bank. The 10th one is interesting. I don't know if it's random. I actually have a protest playlist and I've had it for a long time. When Giuliani came out with Utawala many years ago, I remember it and I used it as a soundtrack for a reel I put up recently. There are some songs that stand the test of time. And I think sometimes going back into art, into the artists who've been trying to talk about oppression and injustice for a long time, it's important that you also lean into pop culture to understand the history of all of this. So what is on my playlist real quick? Off the top of my head, there's Wajinga Nyinyi by King Kaka.
Dear Lord, today I come before you for 2 things. Grateful for keeping me alive even though
Changes by Tupac.
Come on. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself?
Tujiangalie, Sauti Sol. There's Tano Tena again by Sauti Sol.
Barua toka jana Mogi na Kenyatta wanauliza kama Kenya kuko sawa.
Kupi, si kupi, oh, si kupi, si kupi raundi tano tena.
There's a lot of Bob Marley tracks, so off the top of my head, I'm just saying, be inspired by those people before us and the people that come after us. And finally, guys, this is not a wave. I think you guys need to understand that this is not a wave. This is not going to go away overnight, and it shouldn't. So this is not the time to be complacent. This is not the time to be complicit. If you're complicit, you're part of the problem. Use your voice. This is one of those moments where your privilege bubble needs to pop, because sometimes it's so normal to be enclosed in a bubble of privilege that you've enjoyed for so long. But what you always have to understand is anything that affects somebody else inadvertently comes back to affect you. So step out of your privilege bubble, step out of your sheltered view, understand the reality of what everyone is trying to say, listen, hear them, follow, play your part, don't be complicit. This is not a wave, this is here to stay. Protesters, we'll see you on the streets. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and there's no backing down until things change. Peace.